Very close friend of mine, and really just a super impressive entrepreneur who I've had the pleasure of knowing for a number of years now. Mr. Suds, we call him Suds. So Suds, you can, if that's just for the, at the poker table only, or if that's for everybody. But Suds,
Everybody.
okay, for everybody. So call him Suds. Yeah, Suds, let me just go ahead and kick it right over to you, and you can go ahead and introduce yourself and what you're working on, and how folks can leverage LinkedIn, which I think is a huge channel. Like if you're a founder and you're not on LinkedIn, you're not active on LinkedIn, after this class, hopefully you'll feel different. So Suds, over to you.
All right. Thank you everyone for coming. This is my first webinar. I've been doing basically what we're about to talk about on demos and one-on-one with like people I work with and my friends for a long time. So we worked with Chris at his last company, and we I think drove a lot of meetings for him. And so when he was thinking about doing like a sales webinar, he called me up and was like, "Do you want to do one?" Um, Little nervous. So just you can ask questions and everything, and I put Chris on question duty in chat to make sure that, as we go through it, we get everything answered. You don't have to wait till the very end to like throw out all of your questions. So yeah, I'm Suds. I'm the founder of Pipeline. We're a prospecting and LinkedIn automation tool to help sales teams, recruiters, and investment funds figure out who to reach out to and automate sending connection requests, follow-up messages, and liking posts and comments on LinkedIn. Um, when I'm not working on Pipeline, or playing pickleball, I also angel invest a lot. I've invested in about 80 companies now, normally as the first investor or in the first round. So if you're raising, let me know. Um, and if you ever need any help with anything that we talk about today or have any questions, you can shoot me an email, or you can also grab some time on my calendar. Yeah. First, I just want to set the scene a little bit. You guys probably heard marketing, sales, inbound, outbound. And if like just to make sure we're all on the same page, marketing and sales go hand in hand. Marketing is what drives demand. It's everything like billboards, conferences, social media and blog posts, even webinars like this are all marketing that drives like brand awareness and gets people to know about who you are, ideally in the hopes of bringing them inbound to your website to sign up for a demo or use your product. Once that happens, it's sales' job to capture that demand and basically turn a person who's interested or in the top of funnel into a paying customer or user of the product. Separate from like inbound marketing and sales is also outbound. Outbound is what we're going to be talking about today, and it's basically if you don't have a marketing budget, can't go to conferences, or you need to pour a little bit more fuel to the gas, or what am I saying? Pour a little bit more fuel on the fire. You would do some outbound sales, and that's basically figuring out who do you want to reach, and then targeting them and reaching out to them with like precise messaging. So there are three major channels for outbound. There's email, LinkedIn, and cold calling. Everything started with cold calling, probably like 50 years ago. If you've ever seen The Wolf of Wall Street, you can think of Jordan Belfort working the phones, calling people to be like, "Hey, buy the stock that I'm selling." Cold calling used to work really well, but as everybody started doing it, no one picks up, or most people don't pick up unknown numbers anymore. And so the connect rate or the pickup rate is really low on cold calling. It's extremely time intensive and everyone still does it, but it's very, very hard to actually get a prospect to pick up on the other side. And once they do, you really have to know how to like talk and sell. Um, Next, so because cold calling is so hard, most people keep it to scalable channels that are text-based. And so you have email outbound. It's really scalable, but over the past 20 years, it's gotten really saturated. So emailing basically just finding people you want to reach and then hitting them with like a, "Hey, here's who I am. Like, here's what we do. Do you want to buy our product?" And then you just keep following up with them until they send you to spam. That used to be really predictable and used to work really well. But even since COVID, Google, Microsoft, Yahoo have all really cracked down on cold email. And with the rise of ChatGPT and AI sales reps, it's basically become uh, not impossible, but response rates have dropped to about a 0.25%. You need to invest heavily in email infrastructure and spend thousands of dollars on domains and warming up your inboxes and finding the right sequencer. And it's just like a lot harder. So most people still do email outbound, but the most effective channel that we found is LinkedIn. It's the best for B2B sales. All of your decision makers are going to be directly on LinkedIn, and it immediately establishes trust and credibility with whoever you're reaching out to because they can put a face to a name and they can see your tagline and bio and profile when you reach out to them. The other part of LinkedIn that's also really valuable is the social media aspect and the feed aspect. Content marketing on LinkedIn works extremely well. So you don't just want to be reaching out to people and sending them connection requests. You also want to be posting relevant content to LinkedIn. So that way the people you are connecting with can also see your posts and drive some of that inbound. All right.
So we got
So
a real quick.
yeah.
So we got a question in the chat about some of those channels. Any advice on tools for sending out emails in bulk, like 10,000 plus?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So there's a few parts to email outbound. This is more about LinkedIn, but yeah, just at a high level, you need to buy 5 to 10. If you're going to do 10,000 emails a month, you probably want 10 domains. So, in our case, it'd be trypipeline.com, usepipeline.com, joinpipeline.com. Just you want to get a bunch of domains. You want them to be .coms normally. And then once you have that, you want to set up 5 emails, 3 to 5 emails on Google Workspace per inbox. So, I'd if I had trypipeline.com, I would then go to Google Workspace and make like suds at trypipeline.com, s at trypipeline.com, like suds.s at trypipeline.com. And once you have those emails set up, you need to warm them up. And so you'll go to like is a mail toaster. Yeah, you'll go to like mail toaster or something like that where you can just Google email warming tool and there are thousands of them. And there's always new ones coming out every day practically. And you'll start warming up your emails. And basically what that does is it's Google can really easily detect if you're a bot or not, especially if you just bought a domain and just set up a Google Workspace. So you want to like create your reputation or trust when you're emailing. And so email warming will send like from your account to a bunch of other accounts that are connected to the warm up network to like basically make it look like you're a real person and the other emails are real people. So it'll send 30, 50, 100 emails a day. All of them will get opened. Some of them will get responses, and they just use like AI to like create random messages that get sent out. Once you do that for about 2 weeks, your emails should be warmed up and like you should have enough of a reputation that you can start sending out emails. So you'll use a emailing tool like Smartlead or Instantly.ai to basically run all of your mass email campaigns. And then the last thing you need is just like data. And so you can use Pipeline to get your data for who to reach out to, but there are also a lot of other databases like Clay.com or Apollo.io. That
Awesome.
answer it?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Suds. And I see a couple folks in the chat dropping in some of their favorite tools. So very good stuff. All right, Suds, we'll turn it back over to you.
Right. I'm also gonna drop my favorite tool in chat at some point with pipeline.com. But yeah, so why cold outreach? Basically marketing works really well if you have a lot of money. You want to be able to hit people across all social medias. You want to be able to buy booths at conferences. You want to be able to, buy a billboard on the 101. But if you're just getting started, you need to like have something that's a little bit more cheaper and scalable so you can iterate quickly and predictably start scaling your meetings on your calendar. And so cold outreach really lets you kickstart that conversation with your ICPs. At scale, once you start doing it and if you send 100 messages a day or 100 messages a week, you we'll see over time, oh, 30 people are accepting my connection request, 10 people are responding to me, and three of them end up becoming customers. And so once you have that predictability and that, you can start scaling that. And so scaling that would be like hiring more people or adding more LinkedIn accounts or email accounts to your process and basically just scale the volume of outreach. And so that lets you go from just like one person sitting in Burlingame to still being one person, but like sending thousands of messages a month and booking dozens of customers every week. And so finally, if you aren't seeing that like predictable, if I send 100 messages, I'm going to get this many customers. You can just keep iterating on your messaging. So, if one week you send 100 messages and it doesn't really work as well as you hope for, or you're not getting a lot of meetings, you can just try to find a different list of leads or try to like change up your messaging. And so cold outreach is just really scalable, really cheap, and really it's whatever you put in is what you get out. Um, any questions? All right. So specifically in cold outreach, what we see works best is LinkedIn. It's built for networking. Your decision makers are on the platform, and more than email with a 0.2% response rate, LinkedIn you'll see about like a 10 to 15% response rate. So you're able to like churn through a lot more prospects. It also, as I mentioned before, adds a lot of trust and credibility, and you can scale it with your favorite automation tool like Pipeline. Most importantly, though, the point of doing everything on LinkedIn is that you're adding them to your marketing funnel forever. Like even like 6 months from now, if you start posting content, all the people that have accepted your connection requests are going to start seeing you on LinkedIn, and it just takes one person to like a post or like a comment to then basically put that in the feed of all their entire network, and then for you to like start getting more and more inbound signups. So, I'm gonna pause right here really quick. We're gonna move to actually how to put this into practice and execute on this. But before that, does anybody have any questions about cold outreach, LinkedIn, any specific channels?
Yeah, so we got one. How does this apply to stealth startups? So if you're in stealth,
Yeah.
you're not willing to share too much on LinkedIn. Can they still execute this strategy?
Yeah, I mean, we were in stealth for stealth. Like we just didn't like announce or like really like do any marketing of any sort for about a year and a half. And yeah, you can just reach out to people. Normally, if you just even if you're a CEO or founder at Stealth or just, at a stealth company, you can just tell people, "Hey, I'm the founder." You can still tell people what your company name is, or you can just tell them, "Hey, I'm the founder at, Pipeline. We're in stealth, but would love to talk to you about what we're working on, right? Normally, if you can just answer who you are, what you do, and why you're reaching out to people, even if you can't share much more information, they'll a good percentage of them will respond or at least be like intrigued and like accept your connection request so you can keep following up with them.
And so it's just to kind of double tap that a little bit. I found working with you on LinkedIn outbound campaigns, that sometimes less was more, right? And like
Yeah.
sounding authentic and having kind of a human voice and like really connecting like as a person was converted better than almost like, divulging too much information about the startup. Would you say that's a rule generally?
Yeah, when you're sending your first LinkedIn connection request, you need to have a paid account. It's normally $20 a month for LinkedIn Premium. They only give you 300 characters to really do outreach. And so if you just think about what I assume is most of your y'all's behavior when you're going through LinkedIn, you get a new connection request or you get 10 new ones when you wake up in the morning. You're just like scrolling through. Most people don't attach a message. Most people don't say anything. And so you really just got their like face and their tagline to go off of. If you anybody who adds even like a couple lines like, "Hey, I'm Suds," like, don't say would love to add you to my professional network. But if you can basically say anything else. In Chris's case, it was literally just, "Hey, I'm a partner at this company. Would love to chat with you about your go-to-market strategy if you're looking to scale up." And he got founders of companies that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars responding to him because it just needed to be something simple and like show that he's a human. So you don't need to like over engineer it or over complicate it. It can just be like a simple two lines. "Hey, I'm Chris." Like, do you want to chat? And you'll be surprised at like the results.
Awesome. Thank you, Sud. And so, Sol, I think that addresses your question there in terms of what types of messages do you recommend. Let me just do one more before we move on. What about outreach limits by LinkedIn? And maybe that's something that we'll get into as we're going through the demo suds. But do folks need to think about kind of limiting their outreach to kind of keep LinkedIn happy?
Yes, LinkedIn has very clearly published guidelines. With the paid account, you can reach out to 200 people a week. So that comes out to about 40 connection requests a day, 5 days a week. You really don't want to go over that. You can also view a certain number of profiles every day. You can take all the actions are a little bit different, but the main thing that matters is the connection requests one, and you can only send 40 a day. So I definitely recommend if you're going to try to get anywhere near 40, add a connection request to add a message to all of your connection requests, and really make sure you don't go over 200 a week.
Yeah, awesome. And then yeah, I see Kelly has a comment here. Usually likes to reference where we connected. I think that's great. I always ask people when I meet them in person and we exchange LinkedIn. I say, please send me a message with where we met. So that's a pretty good rule of thumb there. Okay, so should we keep on rocking here?
Yeah. So now what you all came for. LinkedIn outreach is pretty straightforward, or all cold outreach really. You need to build a very targeted list of leads to reach out to, and then you need to have really strong messaging to reach out to them. Everything in cold outreach starts with the prospecting part, and to be able to build your list of leads, you first need to define your ideal customer profile or ICP. Defining your ICP basically just means when you close your eyes and you're like, oh, I need to reach people, who are you trying to reach, right? It's in my case, the job title would be VP of sales or sales manager. And then it's like, I'm normally looking for them to be in the computer software or internet industries. And then I normally want them to be at companies between 51 and 500 employees. And normally the person I'm trying to reach, I want them to be in the United States. You can really niche this down. You can go by what skills do they have, what tools do they use, how long have they been in their role, how fast is their company growing. There's tools to help you find leads based on all of this criteria. And what you really need to do first is just really, really, really get narrow. And then if you don't have a lot of results when you try to actually find your leads using a bunch of different tools that we can talk about in a minute, you can like start taking out filters. But I made this document last night just because I thought it'd be easier to. Oh, you can't see my screen. Let me. Cool.
Yeah, I can
All
see
right.
it.
Can you see this?
Yes, I see
Okay,
the
cool.
cheat sheet now.
So this is probably really hard for you guys to see. Let me try zooming in. So I made this last night because I figured it'd be a little bit easier to like show you what I mean. When you're looking at your ideal customer profile, you want to like really break it down by like what are the company attributes and what are the people attributes. And so this is just like an example of like a worksheet I ran through with one of our customers probably like 4 months ago or 5 months ago. I like anonymized everything and took out any information about them that would tell you who they are. But basically you want to like figure out, all right, are there specific like companies or normally if you're trying to reach out to a company, it's called an account. So are there specific accounts that you're trying to go after, like an Apple or a Google, or are you okay with just like any B2B SaaS company with a certain headcount? Um, like keywords. So normally this isn't going to be your industry. It's going to be more like I'm focused on consumer brands or I'm focused on business to business companies that are in e-commerce or that build ad tech or there are a bunch of different things there, but like most search tools will let you search by a keyword, and so you want to just have as many keywords as you can that describe the type of company you're going after. And then the most important thing normally is what headcount or like what company size are you selling into? If you try to sell pipeline, for example, into IBM, that's going to take me probably 18 months to get through their sales process and their bureaucracy. And it'd be really hard to do that. So we normally try to go for companies between 50 and 500 employees because they've got enough salespeople that it makes a lot of sense for us to spend the time, but the sales process also takes around like 2 to 3 months. And so we're able to like see that time to value really quickly. That'll be different for everyone and you can play around with it, but most of the time you want to base your headcount that you're going after for a company around the sales process time. Um, Also, another really strong proxy is revenue. Most companies don't publicly disclose their revenue, so anytime you try inputting revenue into a prospecting tool, it's going to be approximated and it might be completely incorrect. So it's if you really specifically know we only want e-commerce brands that are doing 10 million to 25 million in revenue, you can use these filters, but most tools don't have it correct. And then, yeah, industry is a really big one as far as defining the company variables. You really want to make sure that like you're making different messages based on the different industries of people you're going after, because you'll probably be solving different pain points for different companies in different industries. Um, and then same thing with the people, right? The most important thing is once you've defined the type of company you're trying to go after, you need to find people inside of them. And so the easiest way to do that is just by job title or by job level. So either being like we're going after senior staff engineers or being like we're going after operations people and we want VPs or directors or CTOs. Um, another Sorry, I don't know why there's a random bullet point there. But and then finally, like if you went to a school that has a strong alumni base, you can try targeting your outreach by, hey, I went to Clemson University, or I went to Stanford, or I went to Berkeley, and you can target your messaging to people based on that. Yeah, so basically, long story short, you just want to try to fill the sheet out or try to fill something like this out where you can define the different types of ideal customer profiles you're going after, and you want to be able to then take this and put it into a database. Um, Yet another shameless plug, Pipeline has a database you can, once you fill that out, you can put all of your leads into. Um, Once you've defined your ICP, finding leads is really easy. LinkedIn has a really powerful tool, Sales Navigator. It's a little bit more expensive, but you can use Sales Now pretty effectively to find all the people to reach out to. Or you can also use other tools like Apollo.io, Clay.com, Seamless, and there's just a lot. You can just Google prospecting tool or email prospecting tool, and you'll find tons of databases out there.
Hey, so it's real quick, a question on that. You got one person asking what's better, Premium or Sales Navigator. So maybe just like a little bit, answer that question and just like a little bit of guidance on what founders, should be thinking in terms of those LinkedIn upgrades.
Yeah, it's a little hypocritical. I always say go with Sales Nav, but I don't use Sales Nav. So it depends on your type of company, right? For me, almost everybody that's on LinkedIn is a potential customer. Everybody needs to most companies need to know who do I reach, what do I say to them, and then like automate their outreach to them because they're trying to scale it. So I get away with just like really high level search queries. If you're in anything that's like really detailed or you're trying to find people that you have mutual connections with, Sales Navigator just gives you a lot of data that most other places don't have or don't have up to date, because most people immediately update their LinkedIn. Most people immediately like will make a post and say like, hey, I'm looking for this software or looking for this tool, or I'm trying to hire somebody that does this thing, and LinkedIn gets all that data first. It's not really that easy to search through LinkedIn if you just have premium, but if you have Sales Nav, you can like query all of those searches. The downside of that is Sales Nav is really convoluted and complicated to use. It's $100 to $200 a month depending on the plan you go with. And it's also just like really hard to export the data out of Sales Nav. Um, One of the real use cases of Pipeline that a lot of sales reps have is that they're able to take their Sales Nav query and their URL and put it into Pipeline, and will export all those leads for you. But it's like really just a frustrating experience. So it depends on what you're looking for. If you've got a really large TAM, like total addressable market that you can go after, then you can use premium. Otherwise, I always just tell people get Sales Nav. Even if you don't like it, you can at least like have like the most powerful database in the industry. So does that answer it?
Yeah, I think so. And then I see Martin's asking about LinkedIn paid ads. We're gonna do more LinkedIn classes. This one we're not going to get into paid ads. That's like a whole nother webinar, but we're gonna have more webinars with Suds and some other folks, really kind of covering down on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of my favorite channels, so we're gonna get you guys some good LinkedIn content.
Yeah, LinkedIn is the only channel we use. I tweet a lot for like my marketing side, and then I just send 200 connection requests a week on LinkedIn. So it's pretty powerful. Performance marketing, Chris is really good at. So if you are looking for like LinkedIn ads, you should definitely reach out to Chris because he did that at his last job really effectively. At least from what I heard. Like I haven't worked with Chris directly on that side, but I know a lot of his former clients. Um, all right. Any other questions on the prospecting side?
Maybe let's just we'll get one more in here real quick. And you might get into this with the rest of the content, but what do you consider a good sort of reply ratio?
I
Um,
have a slide on
Basically.
this. We're gonna get to
Okay, cool.
that.
Another one then.
All right, cool. God, this is my first webinar, guys. I'm a little nervous, but also
Oh,
this
you're
is
killing
going
it.
really
You're
well.
doing great. You're doing great. Keep going.
All right, cool. So outreach. Once you've built your list, and I spend a lot of time on the list building because it's really important. Like you can have the best message in the world, but if your product doesn't like if you're reaching out to people who you're not solving a product like a problem for, it's your outreach isn't really going to work. So once you've like built a really strong list of leads, normally it'll have like 400 to 2,000 people, I would say is like narrow enough that you can target your messaging around. Then you'll focus on the outreach. So once you like most people just send a connection request and then they're like, okay, I'll send them a follow-up message after they accept. That doesn't really work. Like if you think about your user behavior, well, we already talked about this, but I just get hundreds of connection requests every day, and nobody attaches a message. I basically automatically accept anyone that has a message. So crafting a message seems like it'd be the more stressful part, but as long as you have something in there, and it cogently communicates who you are, you'll probably get accepted. And so for that, I made a different Notion document, which I can share with you. Whoops, that's pipeline. Yeah, so right here, that's the copywriting cheat sheet. You can access both of these, icp.withpipeline.com and copy.withpipeline.com. Um, and so basically your campaign, really simple. There are a few different ways to do this here. You can use GPT, which if you just fill out what your information about your company around the pain points your ICP faces, how you introduce the company, and who you are, you can literally plug this prompt in to GPT and paste all of this information in, and it'll spit out some pretty good sequences for you. Otherwise, you can craft your own message. Right. You basically just want to answer who are you, what do you do, who uses you, and why are you reaching out? And you don't want to make this super verbose. For me, it's just, hey, first name, I'm the founder of Pipeline. We're a LinkedIn automation platform used by companies like AngelList, Dropbox, and AWS. We can save your sales reps 4+ hours a week. Do you want to chat? And most of the time, people will accept, but they won't respond. So then I'll hit them with a extremely simple follow-up message that's just like, thanks for accepting. Can I send over a 2-minute demo video instead of getting on a call? And most of the time, that'll do the trick, right? So you just want to. The other thing people are always asking me on demos is, isn't this super transactional? Well, LinkedIn is a transactional platform. It's the professional network for people to go meet and network. And so if you're solving a problem that your ICP has, they're going to be like happy for you to like reach out to them and like be transactional. Um, and so you want to like just get your sales pitch in front of them as fast as possible because then they'll qualify themselves in or out of your pipeline. And so yeah, like I recommend you don't need to personalize it with, oh, I saw you went hiking. I love hiking. Or, the only real personalization I recommend is if you and the prospects you're reaching out to went to the same school, right? Then it's worth saying like, hey, I'm also an alum of X. Or if you worked at a company together that you assume they would, think of fondly, then it can be like, oh, I'm also an alum of this company or that company. Um, But outside of those two personalizations, like where they worked or where they went to school, it's just not worth personalizing your messages because you only get 300 characters and you're just trying to hit a high volume. Finally, I've sort of alluded to it, but the sequence I would go with once you've crafted your connection request message and your follow-up is really simple. It's just whether you're doing this manually or using a pipeline to automate your outreach, I recommend sending a connection request with the message, and then if they accept, you should a day after they accept, if they don't respond, you should hit them with your follow-up message. It can be super simple. Once they accept, they're already in your marketing funnel. So they'll see all the posts you put out, they'll see all of the comments you make or a good chunk of them. And as you start churning more content, you basically got these people now that are force fed your marketing. So you don't need to get them to respond immediately. It's more of a like over time as they see you more active on the platform. If they don't respond immediately, they'll respond at some point if you do solve a problem for them. um okay, cool. I think that takes me to the end of prospecting and outreach. Oh, no, it doesn't. We got one more slide. So basically, I think, somebody had asked earlier, and most people want to know, how effective is this? This is not, these are just the average stats we see on the pipeline platform. For every 100 leads sent, you'll get about 30 accepted connection requests. That's not going to be immediate. Like, you're not going to send 40 in a day and get 30 the next day. It's more like over the course of 2 weeks to a month. I think Chris, when he was using our platform, saw people accepting his connection request a month later. And being like, hey, I'm going to be in town next week. Can I come work out of your office? Right. And so it's basically once it's out there, it's just there. I would not withdraw your connection request at least for 6 weeks until you can, make sure that they've definitely seen it and have intentionally chosen to ignore your request. But at scale, you'll get about 30 accepted connection requests for every 100 you send. 30% of those accepted connection requests will respond to you. So you'll get about 10 responses. And then um, can't guarantee anything, but most of the time, 30% of your positive responses you get will turn into customers. And so every week you can send 200 connection requests. Once the machine starts humming, that should be about at least 6 new customers a week. Depends on your annual contract value, depends on how long your sales motion takes, but you can send 2,000 emails and not get a customer versus 200 a week and get a couple at the very least. So LinkedIn's really powerful. These are the stats that we see on our platform. It could be different for others, but we work with hundreds of companies and thousands of sales reps and founders and people doing outreach on LinkedIn. And so this is what we've seen. All right. So before the last thing I want to do is just show you guys like how you can do this manually or you can use a platform like Pipeline. I we were pretty successful because it's a lot easier to use an automation platform. So I wanted to like call somebody up from the audience and like walk through the whole thing of like, prospecting, copywriting, and then setting up the sequence to launch. But before we do that, pause for questions.
And yeah, hey, so it's also looking at the time. What we're gonna do, guys, if you're a VIP member, we're saving we'll do about 10 minutes at the end for everyone to kind of come off mute. And then, Suds, I don't know if you can stay a little
Yeah.
bit later than noon. Okay, cool. So maybe we'll do like 15 minutes or so. We'll stay a little bit after um to do that. So let's go ahead and maybe run it because there's a lot of questions in the chat. So we're
Okay.
gonna address most of those. And then Sushil, I'll send you a link here in a second for that VIP upgrade if you're interested. I see your question there, and then you can join in on the VIP portion at the end. So let's give Suds that gives you probably 8 to 10 minutes to do a demo. Is that can
Yeah.
work?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, cool. All
Um,
right, who are we
I,
calling up?
I think I got a text at like midnight last night that this guy was coming to my demo and I was like, oh cool. Rahul, where are you? How do I call somebody up, Chris?
If we find him, is
Oh,
it
he's right there.
Rahul?
I see him.
Asked to
I see him. What do I do now? Ask to
I just
unmute.
asked him to unmute. So Rahul, if
Yeah.
you unmute, you'll be able to talk.
All right, you should be able to hear me now.
All right. Cool.
Gotcha.
Rahul, thank you for being my guinea pig. Do you want to tell tell everyone what you do? I don't actually know what
I
you
just
do.
want I just want more pipelines. So happy to be anybody's guinea pig for that. So, hey folks, I'm Rahul. I'm co-founder and CEO of a company called 100x. So we're building AI agents to reduce downtime. So our customers run mission critical software. Every minute of downtime costs hundreds of thousands of dollars or more. Imagine the last time you could log into Netflix and Netflix is down, how frustrated you are. That's the problem that we're solving. So our customers are engineering teams, people who are on call, support teams, and those are the people that we're helping with 100x.
All right, cool. So I'll just so this is the pipeline platform. Everything that I'm doing in here can be done manually through other tools and stringing together a bunch of different things, and can also be done through LinkedIn itself. I'm just using this because my company, and it's also just like the easiest way to centralize all the different actions you need to take in one place. Um, so Rahul, let's get into prospecting leads. Um, who do you target? Who do you go after? Also, can everyone see my screen? Is this like visible? All right, cool. Um, yeah, Rahul, I guess we can start like where are the people you're trying to reach located?
Yeah, so right now we're mostly focused on North America,
Okay.
like so, and more specifically the US as well. Yeah.
Just a quick tip when you guys are trying to figure out location, United States, like I would not until you get to at least a few $1 million revenue go outside the US. Internationally, we see as you reach out to people in Europe, Asia, and even like other countries in North America, they respond at a way higher rate, but they don't oftentimes have the budget to spend like you would want, or they have a lot more controls. And the average wage in the UK is 40,000 pounds a year, which is like just makes any software you're trying to sell like sort of out of reach, unless it's really, really valuable. So focus on the US. It's a lot easier to get whatever you're selling expensed, and it's just a lot easier to move through the sales motion, even though you'll have a lower response rate. All right, cool. What kind of job titles are you trying to reach?
Typically CTOs, VPs of engineering, sometimes it's directors of infrastructure engineering. Those are the types of roles we go after.
Okay, so we'll go with the VP of engineering, um, and like I guess like CTOs, and so you can just like choose VP and then in your job role engineering, um, and then what company headcount in this industry do you normally target?
Yeah, at the bare minimum, like 500 employees or above. That's where we
Nice.
see most success. And then, and what was the other question? Headcount, and then
Industry?
industries like typically other SaaS companies, any company with
Nice.
software, so software development, computer software.
Cool. All right. So this is also right here. This isn't just unique to Rahul. Like this is location, job level, and role, headcount, industry are the most common filters. And if you've got a pretty large market size, you can just use these five to like basically find your TAM at any given time. And so yeah, right here, based on those queries, we got 2,000 leads that fit the criteria. So you can look at all of your leads here and be like, all right, great. This looks like who I'm trying to go after. It's good. You can save this. SaaS VP CTO Eng at 500 to 5,000 headcount. All right, cool. So save the list. Can share it with my whole workspace if I want to like uh, reach out to people across my team, and then can create a campaign. So creating campaigns really straightforward. Just choose your list, choose how many leads you want to enroll. Normally, I would enroll like 500 at a time or 300 at a time. But in this case, it's gonna go live scrape all of these leads from LinkedIn. So I'll just enroll five. Um, cool. So yeah, Rahul, standard campaign I would run is sending a connection request with the message, waiting a day. So once they accept, if they respond, awesome, your campaign will stop. If they don't, you'll automatically send a follow-up message. So who do you normally like? How do you describe 100x? Like what's the one-liner?
Yeah, yeah. So we typically say we're building AI agents for to prevent downtime. open to a quick chat. And
Cool. So I would do something like, hey, first name, I'm the founder. If you're not the founder, you can always say I'm part of the team, or I'm with the team at 100x. It's just really powerful to be able to say I'm the founder, or I'm the C level, or I'm the VP of different people resonate differently depending on the ICP. But just establishing I'm the X at company Y is pretty helpful. I'm the founder of 100x. You're an AI agent company that does what?
uh, we're build AI agent company that prevent downtime
Prevents downtime for SaaS companies.
for your software.
Cool.
Yep.
So I would do about another 60 seconds maybe of the demo.
Cool. All right. So pretend we made this message, pretend we had a follow-up message, and then from there you can just launch your campaign. Webinar. Choose your sending schedule. I recommend sending your campaign 9 to 5 your local time. Or if you're not in the East West Coast, I recommend sending 9 to 5 Pacific time, because that covers like the most time zones and most times people are awake. From there, you can view the leads enrolled in the campaign. You can view all the data scraped directly from their LinkedIn. And then you can launch your campaign. Just quick plug, we also have like a pipeline AI tool where you can describe, here's what I do. I'm looking for buyers that are in the market, and it will basically go and figure out who you should reach out to based on that. And then you want some way to track your campaigns normally. So you want to be able to view like, all right, who responded, who is still pending, who did I have to manually follow up with? And so we have a way to do this here, but you can also use a Google spreadsheet, or you can use a CRM like a contract tracker like HubSpot or Adio. And then finally, we have an inbox built into the platform, so that way you can manage all of your messages directly inside of Pipeline instead of having to go back to LinkedIn. So yeah, that's a platform. That's a quick demo. And also, Rahul, thank you for being my guinea pig.